Find the one, get married, have a baby.
We were not ready for that last one.
Nope.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Toops Time and I'm Cody.
And I'm Jessie, and in today's video we are going to be sharing with you guys all the things that we wish someone would have warned us about before having our first baby.
Just whenever you think that you've talked to everyone you've needed to talk to, you are absolutely not prepared for really anything whenever it comes to having babies, and it was quite a shell shock for us.
It was life changing. And that's not an exaggeration. Like,
not at all.
People will tell you that, but it's so hard to believe. Like, we waited 6 years of marriage before we ever had our first child. We thought, okay, we're financially secure, we have enough time for a baby, we got this. But in all reality,
we didn't have it.
No. So we have come up with a list of 10 things that we hope make you all better prepared for parenthood than we were.
So let's get into it, shall we?
Thing number one, more like a realization really, is all the advice you are about to get. And if you are pregnant, you've probably already seen this, that everyone, your mama, your grandma, or your neighbor down the road, they all got some advice to give you. When I got pregnant, I will never forget, this is like right after I made the public announcement, you know, on Facebook, Instagram, that we were expecting. I had people DM me that I hadn't spoken to since high school, and they were like, oh, you're gonna need to do this and make sure you don't lose your relationship with your spouse and yada yada. I mean, I just heard everything, like even things that you're just like, okay, that was way too much information. I had somebody write me immediately about breastfeeding, and I'm like, oh, I don't plan on doing that, you know, like I ended up doing that, but you just don't know, and everyone wants to tell you what to do. Well, this is what I have for that. People have advice, and I think you should ask for people's advice. You also need to know that God is the one that is entrusting this child to you, and he is going to teach you and show you how to raise this child.
So lesson number 2 that we learned is the difference, I guess, between sleepy cues and hunger cues in babies. Whenever we first had our baby, Asher, we mistakenly thought every time he was crying, he was hungry. So what do? You stick either a bottle in his mouth or you're breastfeeding him, trying to make him happy, until you realize that he really just needs sleep.
No one told us that. Everyone always said newborns are gonna sleep all day. Well, he wasn't sleeping all day. He wasn't sleeping like at all. Like it was like 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. and he just cried all the time.
Neither one of our kids slept all day ever. What?
So depressing.
We didn't have those kind of babies. They just didn't sleep.
We weren't these people that hung out with people that had little babies all the time. So I had no idea that, like, if their eyes are like turning red at the eyebrow, that probably means they need to go to sleep. All I know is I've got them overtired and they're sitting there, and I'm like, oh, feed you, feed you, feed you. Because when I lay you in the crib, you're
Yeah, you would think that like a normal human being, when you lay a child who's tired in a crib, that they will just go to sleep. Or when you rock them, they'll just go to sleep. But our kids did not do that.
With that, how did we learn about sleepy cues and hunger cues? Well, it wasn't from all the advice. It was from a program called Taking Care of Babies. I had a friend contact me and say, this helped me when I had my first, and I was like, wow. I immediately downloaded it because we were not sleeping. Her newborn course is perfect for teaching you sleepy cues and hunger cues. So that's enough said about that one. If you're expecting, highly recommend that class for you. It will be linked in the description.
That leads us into number 3, which is less cumulative sleep for us and how that actually affected us in everyday life.
Our relationship, thank God we had been married so long, because you do not know how you're gonna be around someone if you've had no sleep, because there's really not been a time in your life, typically, unless you've gone through something else, that you've both been without sleep for a very long extended period of time. You're completely functional. Yes, you're completely functional if it's 1 or 2 random nights here and there, but if it's months on end with no sleep, we get a little snappy, you know? And
Right.
the things that he does that kind of annoy me aren't so cute anymore. It's like, hey, dude.
It's like times 10. Like,
To prepare yourself for that one, I really think you just need to have an expectation going in, knowing that we might be a little rude to one another. Show each other some grace, show each other love, even during those hard times, because y'all are both experiencing that.
maybe even try this thing where before you actually have a baby and after you get married, go a couple of months without any sleep and just see if you guys can handle it. And if you can't, I don't recommend you have kids.
Well, I don't recommend that advice. Like, do not lose your sleep. Enjoy it while you can. This leads us right into number 4, which is mostly for the women. It is the hormones that are associated with postpartum. Obviously, I heard about them. You know, I knew that there was postpartum depression and all these things, but I'd never experienced anything like that. I wasn't a woman that when I have my period, I was highly emotional or different. I never had those extreme ups and
Actually,
downs.
when we were dating, I used to tell her that I don't know what my sisters were always talking about. You do not act weird when you're on your period. It never affected her since day one, really. She would act like she wasn't feeling well or something, but she was never a person that hormones made her really snappy and rude to people just because she was on her period.
Yes, but postpartum, totally different. And I think that was with the hormones combined with no sleep. I felt like I could be more hateful. I would literally just start crying, like be mad at him for any little thing. And so I definitely, like I said, for number 3, you need to show yourself grace, because I had to do that a lot. And thankfully I had a husband that was very understanding.
For you guys out there, just go ahead and brace yourself now. It's not something that she can really control, and you just need to also give her as much grace as you possibly can.
Do know that postpartum hormones and postpartum depression are different. Like, I knew I could talk myself out of anything that sounded a little bit crazy. Like, I would be saying something crazy and I'd start crying because I knew I sounded crazy. But some people really do experience postpartum depression, and that is a real thing, and you can get on medicine for it. So that was something for him to look for in me, is that he would be able to realize, hey, she's not coming out of this type of state, she's not loving her baby, those types of things. I would definitely seek professional help. But if not, you just need to show yourself some grace if it's just a little crazy, because I was just a little crazy, right?
Just a little crazy, that's all. Number 5, car seat struggles. Whenever I first started dating Jessie, her mom actually had a late baby. She was pregnant with Jessie's younger brother, so I grew up with her younger brother, and we would be 17 years old packing her younger brother to Walmart, taking him different places with us.
He was just a baby. We didn't mind bringing him because he loved the car seat.
He was great. We're like, raising a baby is pretty easy. Like, you just put him in the car seat,
they go
drive around, they go to sleep, they wake up happy. Like, he was a happy baby in the car seat. That's what we were expecting with our kids, and that's not what we got.
We couldn't go anywhere, even 10 miles down the road, without screaming. And I have heard some things about this could be corrected by a chiropractor, that we didn't try that, so I can't give you advice on that. Yeah, you haven't heard that? Yeah, you can bring a baby and they'll realign their back to like the car seat.
Why would you do that?
That's a thing. People do it.
Align their back to their car seat?
No, their back is not aligned, and so they align it. So this is just like a warning for you guys. Don't expect that you're just going to be able to just drive everywhere, the baby naps, because actually it's proven that 50% of babies do not like the car seat. 100% of ours do not so far. Maybe we'll get lucky with the next one. We'll let you know.
For us, though, we will say that our first baby, this lasted a really long time.
It was basically until we had to turn his car seat around.
With baby number 2, it was only a little over a month or something. He learned to like it pretty quickly. So we learned so much after having Asher, our first baby. We're like, hey, it's time to start on number 2. It's going to be a piece of cake. We have everything we need. We know everything we need to know. Let's just do it. So Callum gets here and we realize number 6, all babies are completely different.
Yes, so we were told that. We didn't believe that. Take it from us. It's true.
As you're raising your first kid, that's all you can imagine in a baby. You can't even imagine what another one will look like, much less what they act like. But in a very short period of time, you start noticing differences here and there and here and there. And to this day, I can't really tell you very much that they have in common. I mean, they're completely different babies.
I told you we took the taking care of babies class. Worked wonderful for the first child.
So with Asher, that class was a game changer for us. A couple of days after we started that course with him, it was magical. We got sleep. We started to love each other again. It was amazing. And with baby number 2, still hasn't worked really.
He is sleeping through the night.
He's sleeping through the night, but the taking care of babies didn't work with him. Sorry, but it didn't. All babies are different. So what things have we noticed that were completely different with our kids? They really started at birth. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yes, so their heads. Their heads are very much different. One was much harder.
Asher takes after my head, so I have like this bigger squared off head, whereas if she was bald you'd be able to see, but she's got a really rounded head.
Yes, and I can wear
her dad.
Yes, I can wear a youth size ball cap.
I wear large, extra large, and I think Asher can wear her hats already. They fit. They both had completely different color hair. Asher had a full head of hair. Callum is just now starting to look like he's ever going to get hair. It's like a
strawberry blonde.
Yeah, Daniel looks blonde, so it's going to be her color, I think. As far as personality traits, Asher was a fairly calm baby, very calculated. Everything he did looked like he was just trying to learn how everything worked, learn how to say every word that was coming out of your mouth. Callum's like this big ball of energy all the time. And
so happy.
He's very rambunctious already.
He would go to anybody. That was a huge difference, is that can hand him off to anybody. He'll smile. He'll talk to him. Asher,
So Asher's name actually means happy and blessed. And before we had Callum, that's all we ever said is he's such a happy baby. You know, he lived up to his name, but little did we know that Callum was a completely different kind of happy. Asher's super happy, super sweet baby. Callum was completely different. Smiles all the time at everybody. You'd be walking down the aisle at Walmart and you're like, man, we're going to have to really teach this kid stranger danger, because he would go to anyone.
So we say all that to say the babies aren't going to be the same. So if you're only having one, no worries there. But if you decide to have another one, then be prepared.
That leads us into number 7. Schedules and routines are a must for some babies.
Yes. And so for Asher, sleep was absolutely necessary. If you look at wake windows, he was textbook. It was like, if they say he needs to be awake for only 2 to 3 hours, you better believe it, 2.5 hours you need to be putting him down for a nap. He needed an early bedtime, 6 p.m. every night. We could have no life during that time. Callum comes along and we're trying to do all these wake periods and this stuff. That kid don't care. That kid says, if you move me around, we can go outside, we can play, you can keep me up.
You could theoretically keep Callum up all day, and as long as you're doing stuff with him, he would stay in a good mood.
Schedules and routines are a must for some babies. The reason we say that was a huge realization for us is because we weren't those people. We never wanted to be those people that were like, hey, I'm sorry, I can't make dinner. My baby's got to sleep.
We have good friends that watch pretty much all of our videos, and whenever they first had their babies, we went to visit with them, and it would drive us crazy. Everything we did, their babies had to be back at a certain time. We had to eat at a certain... Everything was, well, hold on, we got to get the baby dressed. Oh, wait, we're about to walk out the door. We forgot this. Or, oh, wait, we got to go change the baby and yada, yada, yada. We told ourselves we are not going to be like that.
We just cannot do that.
They are weird. Like, they do weird stuff. We're not going to be like that. Realization, we're like that. We didn't initially intend to start being very schedule oriented like that with our baby, but some babies have to have it, and we know that now.
Yes.
Newsflash.
Whereas our second baby could be like your first, more flexible. You really just don't know. So what we're really telling you through all this, lower your expectations. Just lower them. And then...
That's good advice.
Yeah. Don't set that bar high, because we had it like really high. Now it's going down.
Yeah.
And then it's like, those kids can't disappoint you.
No.
So for number 8, that leads us into the fact that we became the people that people were always waiting on.
We started to be late quite often.
Yes.
And back to our friends, we were late for everything when we hung out with our friends, and we're like, we're not going to be those people. We're just going to grab our kids and go. Once you realize that your kids do take a whole lot more time, and it takes way more time for you to get ready because of your kids, and depending on what their schedule is and when people decide to schedule things for, I mean, we're going to be those people that are probably going to show up late to your event, and it's not because we're lazy, it's because we have a kid that happens to be on a schedule that doesn't meet up with your scheduled time for your event.
You won't always be late. We've definitely got it to where now we can leave probably within 5 minutes of warning with the kids, have the diaper bag ready. It was just such an adjustment, so be prepared for that adjustment.
And that is something that did get better. Even now that we have 2 kids, we're way better about getting out of the door.
But it is when you're so used to doing everything alone and just always knowing, okay, I can definitely be there on time. We were the people that were always 5-10 minutes early. You kind of get upset at the fact that you're late, and then it makes you even more frustrated with each other. And so what we did to deal with that is I would just tell people, well, we're going to try to be here between 9 and 9:30. I can't guarantee you we'll be there right at 9. And so that's just kind of how I dealt with that, because I wasn't good at telling people I was going to be late.
Our last 2 on the list are a little more mushy, but they are very true. Something I never thought would be possible is the instantaneous love that you have whenever you first hold your baby. When people tell you this, you don't believe it until you have your own kid. But it's like instantaneously, oh my gosh, I would die for this kid right now. This is my whole world, you know?
So that's number 9 for us, is that we didn't realize that we were going to have such emotional and strong connection to this little bitty human being right off the bat. And for us, that's how it's happened both times. Now, I have talked to some people that unfortunately it took a little while for them to grow that love, but for us it was instantaneous. So that's a warning for you dads that maybe your wife's been pregnant and you're like, oh, I don't really feel much of anything.
Honestly, I was that dad. I was like, I was super excited, but I thought it was going to be a little bit different than it was for her. I thought it was going to be, I'm going to have to meet the kid before I really love the kid.
It's not like
She's had 9 months with the kid.
Yeah. It's nothing like when you're dating, meeting somebody, falling in love with someone. It's your flesh and blood, and that's something totally different. You're not at all prepared to experience that love.
And the reason for that is God knows number 1 through 8 on our list, if he did not give you an instantaneous love for the kid, you may just want to strangle him sometimes. Is there a better way to say that? I thought it was funny.
I don't know, it might be funny. That leads us into realization number 10. You may actually want more kids when you have your first one.
Or less, depending on
the situation. Yes, so for us, having Asher, our firstborn child, we knew right away that he could not be the only child, and there probably would be more than 2. We really don't know a final number yet, but we love having kids.
Absolutely love it. I tell her all the time, we'll be really busy doing things and be going through a really tough time with the kids, not sleeping, and it's really difficult, and then they'll reach a new milestone or something and
they'll say dada. It's wonderful, but for some people, they may think before they have their first one, I plan on having 4 or 5 kids, and then they realize how hard that first child is. Now they're probably only going to have 1.
There's so many different lifestyles that people have, so many different circumstances that people are in that will dictate how having that first kid affects you. So being we're trying to live that slower lifestyle, we absolutely love every moment of having the kids, and the times that are rough, it's not really that big of a deal to us because we just love the times that are good so much that it just makes it worth it.
And like I've said in a previous video, I really feel like you never can really experience Christ's love the same as after you have a child. You really understand that type of unconditional love when you have a baby.
That is it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching.
And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you like this content. We will be putting out more content like this in the future.
God bless you guys. We will see you on the next one.